Hello, Paul Hamilton here from UTB. Let's have a look at what we're going to create today. We're going to create this game dice or board game dice. Kids can actually use whatever they want. It doesn't have to be a Harry Potter inspired theme. It can be anything. We're going to be using Procreate. That's all you'll need because Procreate, we can now draw on 3D objects, which is super cool. So we can apply all our favorite brushes like nebula, stars, all sorts of different things. We can even add images from our camera roll. So you can see here that I haven't drawn that hat. We've actually included it as a PNG. So kids can do it anything they like, but let's get started. So where are we going to get the 3D object from the cube? So if we go to the Padlet, you'll see the Padlet that's in the description or the information in this video. And you'll see there's lots of tutorials. We're going to go to the top of the 3D files for Procreate. You can see there's lots there that you can grab. They're all blank. We're going to grab the blank dice. When you tap on that on your iPad, it will ask you whether you want to download it. You do. So we're going to press on download there. And then if you go up to your download button in Safari there, you'll see that it pops up. Now, when I hit that and I open up that file, it's going to go straight to Procreate. If you don't want to do that, you can save it to your files and I'll show you how to import from your files that blank dice template. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap on it. It opens up by Procreate by default. Now, once again, if it doesn't open like this and you've saved it to files, go back to your gallery and you'll notice at the top there you've got your import button. So when you hit import, that's going to go to your files. You can browse your different locations and you can actually find that dice OBJ file, dice ready file, and bring that into Procreate right off the bat. So it could be in a number of places, recent downloads, or just on your iPad, depending where you put it. So let's jump into the dice. So we've got this beautiful template up here. It's blank. It's not looking too flash at the moment, but that's okay. A couple of things we're going to use today. We're going to use our layers tool here. So if I click on my layers, you'll see the different layers. So we're going to use that a lot today. So you'll see the little plus. We're going to add lots of layers as we go along, and we're going to hit the plus button there. You can see it's added a new layer. So if we add a new layer straight away, and if we go up to our colors, and if I drag that little circle, top right-hand corner, onto my dice, you'll see that it actually changes the color. So when I actually drag that on, you'll see that it changes our different colors and so on. So if I go back to the start, that layers is going to become super, super important that we actually work with our layers efficiently. Yeah, and we can do a whole lot of things, can't we? We could maybe start with a blank dice if we wanted to, a black one, a white one, and we can change that at any stage at all. So if I drag that black down, or if I look at my layers, you can see that we've got some different areas there. I can switch them off and on, and I can delete. So let's start that again. We're going to go up and we're going to add a new layer. We're going to drag our black over to make it a black dice. And then we're going to go up to our layers again, and we're going to add another layer. Now, this is probably great protocol. See how it's got layer 4 at the moment? Before we start adding content, it might be a good idea to tap on that and rename it to the number of dice that we're actually doing. So let's say we're working on the number 1 first, just so that we're being more efficient with our layers and we can see what we need to delete and edit. So we've got our number 1 face here. So let's go up to our brushes and see what we can do. I'm going to go down to one of my favorites, which is a nebula brush. I'll tap on that once, and then I'll go up to my color palette and make it like a blue maybe color. I could do anything I want. I'm going with a bit of a Harry Potter wizardry magical kind of dice today. So I'm looking at kind of those different areas. You can see there, that's looking really good as if I tap. Now on the left-hand side, the 2 brushes that you'll be using are definitely the tools with the size. So you can see here I've got the size of my brush. And I've also got the opacity. So if I want my brush to be a little bit more see-through, or the painting or the airbrushing or whatever I do, I can lower that right down. So if I draw on that now, with that really low opacity, you'll see that it won't come out. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. Let's go with about that. And I'm just going to do a really quick kind of layering context there. Then I'm going to go to my brush. I might go with an inking and just see how my numbers are looking. So I'm going to go to nothing in particular. You can kind of have a look around at the different brushes. So if I make that black again and I just basically write straight on my dice the number 1. You can see it comes up too big, but that's okay. Now, to get rid of something, it's a 2-finger tap on your screen. You'll use that an awful lot. So 2 fingers tapping for Procreate to undo your last mistake. And you'll find you're doing that all the time in Procreate because you're experimenting with brushes. That's looking pretty great. Now, if I go up to my layers palette, you can see here that I've got my number 1, but I might want to add an image as well. So I'm going to add a new layer for that. And I'm going to go up to my little spanner and I'm going to go to insert a photo. That'll go to my camera roll. Now I've got some in my albums. I've got some nice PNG images without backgrounds. Here we go. Got some nice, beautiful kind of imagery here. It could be the kids' work. Now, it doesn't have to be a number dice. You could do story dice. So you could do characters from your favorite book like Hazel. You could do anything. You could do this as a way of getting kids to create narratives, a whole range of different things. But you can see there, what I've basically done is inserted a photo, pinched and made it a little bit bigger. Now, because I've got that in my layers palette, I can drag those layers up and down. You can see now that Hazel is on top of my number 1 and my nebula brush. So you can start playing around with the layers and arranging them in regard to on top or on bottom. So let's go through that again. Insert photo. I'm going to go to my albums. I'm going to go to my PNG images and let's insert this wizard hat here as my number 1. I'm going to pinch. And you'll notice I'm at the little selection tool at the top there, which allows me to move things around. Don't forget your 2-finger tap. 2-finger tap is going to allow you to redo it if you need to, or even just delete that layer and start again. That's looking really great. So you can see here my layers. I've got my number 1 and I've got my image. And then it's just a simple case of repeating that process. If you've got some layers that are blank, you can turn them on and off to see if you've done anything on them, and then just slide to your left to delete if you actually want to get rid of a layer. So it's always good to turn things on and off to see which layer's which, rename them, and just get a little organized. Now, I'm going to let you guys kind of repeat that process there, keep bringing in some images, and in a minute, we'll show you what it's like to export. So I'm just going to play around here. You can pause this video at any stage. When we get to the exporting, I'm just going to have a look at, I could bring in an emoji. Any images that you've got will look really, really great on your 3D dice. You can see there, I've got to pinch in a bit. If I pinch, I can make that bigger. Now, if your image looks a little bit dull or not bright enough, we have got a lighting studio in Procreate, which is awesome. And you find that by going up to the cog, not that one, over to the cog, yep, over to the cog, and then going to your 3D settings and hitting on lighting and environment. And you'll see here you've got these little light cubes that you can move around to make light. You can tap on those cubes and increase the intensity. That might be too bright, you can see there. So if you feel like you've got a black background and it's not really visible, you can adjust that lighting studio. By the way, when you can go through and change the environment of the lighting, which is cool. When we export this as a 3D USDZ file though, it's not going to matter too much. The lighting really doesn't come through to that effect. So don't worry too much about your lighting at this stage. Just make it a nice environment to work in. So when I'm finished, I'm going to go up to my cog. Oh, let me just check my layers. Yeah, layers are all looking good. I'm going to go to my cog and we're going to go to the share. So we've finished. We're going to export this as a USDZ file because I'm going to make it interactive later in Reality Composer. We'll make it a USDZ file and we are done. We just need to select where we're going to place it. And we might rename that. And stay tuned because in the next tutorial, we're going to make this interactive as an augmented reality dice where you tap on it, it flips up and gives us a random number. Super cool. But I hope you enjoyed that. That was about coloring with Procreate in our 3D dice. And please keep watching, keep coming back, following us on Twitter and using technology better. And we'll definitely show you the next stage, which is making it augmented reality and using Reality Composer, which is a free app for iPad. And we are going to make it apply some physics and make it actually work, which is super cool. Don't forget, we've got our Padlet here. That's where you're going to get your blank dice. That's where you're going to find all of our tutorials. Make sure that you bookmark that. Super important. Hope you enjoyed that today. This is Paul Hamilton for Using Technology Better.